Hello everyone, this is Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb, welcoming you to our BizzyWebinar on speeding up your website. Delighted to have you all with us today. We have a bundle of viewers already logged in and locked on, so thank you all very much for joining us. And as I do every week, I'm just going to start off with a couple of housekeeping items to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So I'm going to switch over to the Hangout window for a second. If you're attending the event from our event page at the home page, then you're going to want to scroll down. And of course, if you're watching from this window, that's completely fine. But if you'd like to ask questions, your next step is going to be to go to our Google Plus page. And if you click on that Google Plus page, let's pause this. And then what you'll see is there's a link inside of this page from here, and it says Q&A and live. And so if you click on this button, it's going to take you into the window that I was just at, and you'll be able to watch, but also ask questions. So if you click on the green button down at the bottom, you can ask a question here. And when you ask that question, I will see that live on the Hangout, and I'll be able to answer it for you as we go through our event today. So that's very briefly an overview. You do need to have a Google account in order to see this. But the steps are, go from the event page, click on this Google Plus link, and if you're on Google Plus or if you have a Google account, you should be cool. You'll go to this page, you'll click on that link where it says Q&A and live or the play button, and then it'll take you to this page where you'll be able to ask questions live. We do encourage questions during this event, and this is for you, our clients and friends, so please be sure to ask those questions as they pop up. Let's get back into the presentation then and remind you, here's what BizzyWeb does. Actually, we'll talk about our agenda with speeding up your website and then what the problems are with having a slow website and why you need to focus on speed. And then we're going to talk about how to increase or enhance your hosting, your images, JavaScript, and then caching to make sure that your website is as fast as humanly possible. I also have a few random tips that I'll sprinkle in the middle of this. So if you have questions, again, that's your time to ask them right now and through the event. And I'll be tending to those on occasion as we go through. BizzyWeb is a web design and online marketing company, and we focus on WordPress-powered web design, which is what we're primarily going to be talking about today. We also have fantastic hosting, and as you'll learn in our event here, hosting is one of the biggest issues or one of the biggest things that you can get when you're on your website as far as speeding it up. And then, of course, we do online marketing, and we focus on all kinds of Google AdWords and other marketing campaigns. And in particular, BizzyWeb is a constant contact authorized local expert, or ALE. And what that means for you is that we are experts in email marketing and helping you grow your business. And so if you have a consistent need to reach out to lots of people and make sure that you want to continue to cultivate your leads or drive deeper relationships with your customers, please talk to us today about how to get started with Constant Contact. All of those are built up through our Buzz Builders programs, and our Buzz Builders programs are designed to help you either grow leads, market your products and services, deepen your search engine results, or enhance your search engine results, or deepen relationships with your customers. All right, let's talk about speeding up your website. And if you do have those questions, be sure to hit us with those as we go. First, why focus on speed? First of all, slow sites frustrate users, especially in the web or in the mobile marketing world. If you have a slow website and your client or your prospect is visiting your site over a slow network, if it takes them 5 to 10 seconds or even sometimes less than a second for a website to pop up, they're going to click somewhere else. They'll think that your website is dead, they'll think that there's an issue, or they simply will just click away to somewhere else that has an optimized website. A 1-second delay in page time can lead to 11% fewer page views, 16% decrease in customer satisfaction on your site, or a 7% loss in conversions. The source on that is the Aberdeen Group via a blog post that I've got from crazyegg.com. So visit Crazy Egg if you'd like more information on that. A poor mobile experience and a bad reputation is going to damage your website results And if you're spending money on having a fantastic website already, you might as well make sure that it responds as quickly as possible in order to get right in front of people. Amazon.com actually measures their website speed in the tenths and hundredths of a second. And a tenth of a second at Amazon is worth a few $1 million in lost revenue. So especially with e-commerce, load time is money. So now that we know that, let's focus on how we can speed up your website. So the tools that you can use first, and you may want to screen capture this page. We'll also make these links available to you after the event. It'll be available right from the embedded page on BizzyWeb's events. And so if you go to those, you can click on any of these, and you can just Google all of them as well. But Google's page speed tool will give you easy and quick results, as well as ways to increase your site load speed. And that's developers.google.com/speed. Smush It. This has been a really handy tool that's been around forever. But when I checked it this morning, it worked yesterday, but when I checked it this morning, it was down. So I just wanted to give you a word of caution. If that doesn't work, there are a few other tools out there that I'm not really familiar with because we've been using Smush It forever. But if you just Google page speed enhancers or load speed or image enhancers for the web, you'll be able to find some really cool page load enhancements that are going to help you basically shrink the size of your images without degrading the quality. Insanity is a great tool that actually helps you limit the sizes of your images on websites. And so one of the big things that you'll find is having huge images on your site can slow things down, because if you have loaded a 4 megabyte image onto your homepage of your website, it's going to take a while, even at high speed internet speeds, to download a 4 megabyte image. And if your unlucky visitor happens to be visiting from a 3G network over their cellular service, that 4 megabyte file could take several minutes. And then you have a very, very slim chance of having that client stick around to actually view your content. Finally, a great tool that you're going to want to consider is Lazy Load. And what Lazy Load does is it actually keeps your images from loading until the person has scrolled down to the point where that image is actually visible. So what it does is it does not load the entire image or all of the images on your web page, and instead waits until that person actually needs that image to download it. And so that winds up speeding up the overall page, especially the above the fold content, or what people see right away. And that's very, very helpful, and can actually increase the page speed of your site by up to 30%. So those are our tools to use, and we're going to sprinkle these tools into the rest of this presentation. I'm going to stop over 1 second, just make sure we don't have any questions. Great. If you do have questions, again, as a reminder, you can click on this page or go to the home page and then into the BizzyWeb events page. And then from there, there's a link to Google Plus right here under number 1. That'll take you to this page. And then from there, you're going to go into this page by clicking join or play, and you can ask questions live there. So next up, hosting. BizzyWeb has fantastic hosting that's actually built for WordPress and built for maximum speed page load time. So make sure that you do have the proper resources on your hosting. If you're using a cheap web host, you are getting what you're paying for. What happens with cheap web hosting and how they can afford to publish those or to have those $10 a month bills for you, or less sometimes, is that they load as many websites as they possibly can onto the same server, and you essentially share an account. That means is that if someone else on your website or someone else on that server or yourself has a lot of lead time or a lot of requests to that site, that's going to slow down everyone on that site. And so a lot of times what the cut rate hosts will do is load tons of people on there, and then they'll keep loading them up until people start complaining. And of course, if you don't know much about how the web works, you don't know to complain or know to move it out. And a lot of times what they'll do is that $10 a month account, in order to get the speed increased, you're going to have to start adding dollars to your hosting by adding additional RAM, or by adding additional resources and speed or bandwidth to the hosts. GoDaddy, 1&1, Bluehost, HostGator, DreamHost, all of these are equal sinners in this regard. And I can't even fault them for it, because you're getting what you're paying for. If you're paying for cut rate hosting, you're going to get a cut rate experience for your clients. And your hosting is really not something that's worth gambling on, especially if you use your web host or your website to drive business to your company. Once you're on your web host of choice, you can use gzip compression. And if you don't know what that is, you need to be talking to someone that knows, and make sure that your website is using the proper technology. WordPress requires PHP 5.4 or higher, MySQL 5.5 or higher, and the mod rewrite Apache module. That's in the link that I linked on this page. Just go to WordPress or Google WordPress requirements, and it'll tell you what a lot of folks that have big problems with their WordPress installation encounter is that they've set up their website or their web host incorrectly. And for example, here's the biggest issue we've seen. Whenever you've got a website that's hosted in Windows or in a Windows.NET environment, that's when things really start getting weird. And I had a website that we were testing it on our development server, which was on Apache and properly hosted, and the client insisted on keeping their website at GoDaddy, and it was on a Windows server in GoDaddy. And that page took several minutes to load on the GoDaddy site and less than half a second on our website or on our web hosting. So it does make a huge difference, and make sure that you work with someone that you can trust, that can maximize your output and throughput on your website. For BizzyWeb, we have something called Busy Hosting. And with our hosting, we actually monitor and maintain your website, make sure that there's no malware that's slowing down your website, look at all of the page speed enhancements that we've already talked about today and that we will be talking about throughout this event. And we make sure that you're actively being backed up, and so that your website is safe and secure, and that there's no spamming or anything else that's happening on the site. So in general, make sure that you've got your hosting set up correctly, and go to BizzyWeb.com/hosting for more information if you'd like to find out about how you can have your website hosted by professionals that know how to speed up your website and make sure that your experience is supreme. As a matter of fact, with Busy Hosting, we offer 3 hours of service and support on top of everything that I already mentioned. So if you need on-call staff help, BizzyWeb is the team for you. All right, next up, images. Images is one of the biggest ways that your website will be slowed down, other than hosting, of course. And so if you have large images on your website, that's going to slow it down, because every browser needs to download all of those large images. And image sizes in general should be less than 30 kilobytes on a given website. So a lot of times it's really easy to shoot images with your phone, or to take screenshots or import things that are high resolution. And sometimes with the high-res monitors that are out there today, the 4K displays and all that, it gets tempting to load up larger images. But you definitely need to gauge the difference between what you're getting and what you're displaying, and the speed of those images. So a properly compressed image can look just as good as a high resolution image if you know what you're doing. And this is where Smush It and some of those other tools come into really great play. This is an Insanity screen that automatically limits the upload size of images to what you set. There's no sense in making an image any larger or wider than what you display on your website. And with mobile responsive design, sometimes you can go wider, but in general, you're not going to need to go wider than 1024 on any given page, because that's about what the default is. And keep in mind that on a 4 or a 5-inch screen on a phone, those aren't going to matter either. So you're going to have very small images that you're going to want to publish, and you want to make sure that you're uploading the correct sizes, quantities, and variations of images as you load them up. And again, with the tools that I've linked, that helps make this an automatic thing inside of your account. You can also set the image sizing in WordPress in the settings. And so if you do have questions about that, by all means, let me know. But using these three tools or these three options, limiting image sizes, compressing your images, and then using lazy load so that images aren't even loading unless your visitor is going to that space on that page, is going to dramatically increase your website speed. Next up, JavaScript. JavaScript is one of those cutting edge types of technologies that have a lot of opportunity available for them. You know, in the olden days, there was Flash, and my goodness, if you have Flash on your website, please, for the love of all that is holy and pure in the web world, delete all Flash off of your website because it's slow and it hurts you in search engine optimization. But JavaScript has come in as the savior of that, but improperly launched or loaded JavaScript can have just as much impact as bad Flash would on your website. And so there's some really cool Google tools, and I actually already listed the page speed tool that'll list what issues your website has on it as far as conflicting JavaScript or sliders, for example, that are taking too long or that are loading in the wrong order. Once you get into the page optimization sector, the limits or the things that you can do are pretty limitless, and it's all a matter of varying degrees of performance. So the more you can get just the right tools onto your website and remove any tools that you're not using. If you have 30 plugins on your website, for example, and they're all active, if you're not using 15 of those plugins, they're still using resources somewhere on your site. So make sure that you remove or disable at the very least, but also ideally remove any plugins that you don't need on your website. Do a regular spring cleaning. That's what this time of year is for, right? We're always thinking about that for our homes and our businesses, but also make sure that you spring clean your website. Get rid of all those old plugins, get rid of anything that you don't need. Make a backup first that you don't break anything, of course, but make sure that you've got as lean and mean of a website as possible. If you can decrease the overall size of your website by removing all of that extra gunk, by removing any themes that you're not using, by taking care of anything that just isn't working for you or that you've moved past now, that's going to help you very, very easily to speed up your website. And then finally, caching. If you haven't enabled caching on your website, there are a few big reasons to do so. With W3 Total Cache, we have a great tool that basically what happens is the very first time a visitor visits your website, they download all of the elements of your site onto their computer. That's cached then in their memory, and so they don't have to re-download it again the next time they visit. What happens with that caching then is if they come back to your website later, they're visiting their local cache versus the current or versus having to download everything all over again. What happens with that, and there are a couple of dangers inside of it, but what that means for you is that your website isn't getting hit as often or getting as many requests for download if you have a very popular site or if you get linked to from a very popular site. For example, if Reddit, if you get to the front page of Reddit for some reason, or if your post goes viral on Twitter or some other tool, or if you get Slashdotted or one of those other big tools that publishes content and drives a lot of traffic, that can actually crash your website if too many people are hitting it. Caching can actually negate or at least mitigate that experience by forcing everyone to visit your website, download those images once, and then use their own browser to redisplay that content instead of your server. So it'll save you from crashing, it'll speed up your website, and it will just help you deliver content appropriately. With W3 Total Cache and a few other tools, you can integrate with a content delivery network like Amazon or A3 or other services similar to allow you to download high bandwidth images or other issues on a one-off basis on the fastest servers in the world, like Amazon. And Amazon is actually very, very inexpensive. We're talking tenths of a penny per megabyte. And if you have a big need to download large files, one of the things that will dramatically increase the download speed of those particular items is going to be using a CDN or a content delivery network. You can also get rid of the ability or the need to use a plugin, which of course includes all kinds of extra software and stuff that you might not need, by modifying your htaccess file. If you just blanked out when I said that, you're going to want to talk to your web developer today. We have a script that we load into our htaccess files for our clients to basically force caching where possible. That keeps things a lot cleaner, a lot simpler, and it actually helps block a lot of that crud that you just don't need elsewise. So now's the time to really get into questions. So if you do have questions, we'd love to hear from you today. We have a bunch of things that I can demo for you. I'm actually going to screen share it back over to remind you to ask those questions right here. Again, from the BizzyWeb page, from the event page, you can click on Google+. It'll take you to this page. And then from that page, you click on play, and it takes you right into this post where you can ask those questions. Here's page speed insights on Google. And you can see that this is BizzyWeb's page. And there are some issues with BizzyWeb. So we have some render blocking in JavaScript, CSS above the fold content. And you can click and show how to fix. And that'll actually show all of the stuff that's available inside of here. I'm going to breeze over that pretty quickly, because I don't need to show you all the details of our dirty laundry. But as you can see, even web development companies need to speed up their websites on occasion or look at some of this stuff. So there's server response times, things that you can do, enabling compression, optimizing images, minifying CSS and HTML. You have to strike the balance between rendering the proper content and making your site as fast as possible. If you wanted your website to be absolutely screaming fast, you should just have simple HTML on your website and no images, nothing else. That'll be blindingly fast if you're on a great server, but might not help you to actually win business. So make sure that you're thinking about that and figuring out that balance. BizzyWeb has been in the process of redeveloping our own website for a number of reasons, but page speed is going to be one of them. So you can see we're not completely perfect yet either. And then for the mobile world, you can tap on that as well, and it'll give you those. Again, that's at developers.google.com/speed, and you can just Google page speed insights, and it'll take you right to that page. Another thing that you can do is just use Google Webmaster Tools, and inside of Webmaster Tools, you can see all of these events and the content that you're getting hit with. You can see any security issues or other resource issues. You can see how your website looks, and as far as structured data and site links, you can look at your search traffic and basically do a smaller version of Google Analytics. And then you can see how Google is indexing your website and the crawl that are inside of here. Some of these page speed issues can show up in crawl errors. If it takes too long for your page to render, Google is going to skip right over any page that it takes too long to load. And so you might not show up at all in search engines if your website is too slow. So make sure that you check that here. And if you have a lot of crawl errors and issues, that's probably what that issue is from. So that's really a high-level overview of how page speed can be affected and what you can do to improve it. I'm going to skip back and go into wrap up. And so if you do have some questions or comments, make sure that you register those with us as soon as possible. BizzyWeb, as a reminder, does web design, and we create fully optimized for mobile and speed websites, as well as building them with search engine optimization and social media integration in mind. And we do web hosting. Our web hosting includes 3 hours of support each year, training on how to update your website, security hardening and malware scanning, regular backups to allow you to roll back your website if you do have an issue, and software and plugin updates to keep your website on the cutting edge and make sure that you're not exposing yourself to dangerous software. All that's available for the low price of $25 a month for smaller sites, and we have different accounts and sizes for e-commerce sites and other things. But contact us about Busy Hosting if you have a need to speed up your website today. We also do online marketing, including Constant Contact, Google advertising, and search engine optimization and content. And be sure to join us every Wednesday. Next week, we're going to be talking about, let me go back into my account, and from events, you can always browse our events calendar. And so next week, we're going to be talking about event marketing and registration. You come into each of those and you can see them. If you're around, we have, with the North Hennepin Area Chamber of Commerce out of Osseo, Minnesota, we've got a great leadership academy. We're going to talk about social media and technology at that event. And then, again, we have next Wednesday our BizzyWebinar on event marketing. And then we have SCORE presentations on a week from Tuesday and Thursday. And then we have a presentation all the way up in Brainerd. So if any of you are from Brainerd or the Brainerd Lakes area, would love to see you in person on the 31st of the month. All right. Finally, if you'd like a free SEO analysis that will tell you how to increase your page speed as well as things that you're missing for search engine optimization, go ahead and visit BizzyWeb.com/buzz. If you do that and you visit our page, we will give you that Buzz Report analysis and tell you easy tips on how to increase all of the things that we talked about today, as well as look at what you're missing in your online marketing and how you might get better response and results in your online marketing period. Again, I am Dave Meyer with BizzyWeb. I'm going to stop sharing here so that everyone can see me and so that I can sign off appropriately. Again, Dave Meyer here with BizzyWeb, reminding you that with BizzyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time.